Hi, I'm Jeff Smith with Surgeon Masters. I have Dr. Sarah Zallek as our guest, who is the course director or course chairman for a very cool course or conference coming up July 18th through 20th this summer 2019. It's a Thursday through Saturday conference called Neuroscience, a Sensory Experience. What a cool title. I'm curious about this conference from what you've done in the past, Sarah, and then also what you're looking at doing at the conference this year.
This conference evolved from a conference we started last year. It's being held in Chicago as a destination event by the Illinois Neurological Institute, which is the neuroscience portion of OSF Healthcare, which is based in Peoria, Illinois, but has hospitals in Peoria and Michigan, or in Illinois and Michigan, and also part of the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. So it's a continuing medical education conference that we started last year as a destination. Even though we're not located in Chicago, we wanted to do something that was a fun place to go and bring physicians in to have a very experiential learning experience, very interactive, and also make it kind of a fun place to go to bring another person with you and enjoy the city, and then have a portion of the conference for the attendees as well as the guests of attendees. And it was a super hit last year. We had a lot of fun, and it was meant to be a neuroscience conference with some portions about what makes the physician experience better in work and outside of the workplace. And that's the part that stuck. So that's the part that we're really focusing on this year. So this year, Neuroscience, a Sensory Experience is the updated version of this destination CME conference for physicians of all fields to come to Chicago and spend Thursday to Saturday learning about all kinds of cool stuff that makes the physician experience better.
And you highlight what sounds like a very key word, the experience and experiential learning. So tell us a little bit more about that and this educational opportunity.
I think you and I would agree, Jeff, that nobody needs another didactic lecture. And there's a role for that, but really the better way for adults to learn is through taking information that we either know, understand part of, and reframing it, learning together, and having an experiential kind of immersive learning opportunity that's very focused on how we're going to use that material when we leave. So this conference is really interactive, experiential, fun, but also real content, but just not didactic lecture. So it's not going to be people standing at a podium with a bunch of slides delivering a whole bunch of data. It's going to be experts like yourself really talking about stuff that they know in a conversational way. Sometimes it will be a panel discussion. It's all going to involve the attendees, and sometimes it will be more practice of some skills that we're learning together, but it's going to be very engaging and a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of different stuff that we'll do from the first to the last day.
Well, there's so much there. I mean, I'm excited just hearing everything that you have to describe. I think, you know, I'm not a neuroscientist. Practicing the coaching and the coaching skills, I certainly have a increasingly stronger appreciation for the neuroscience of learning and the neurosciences in behavior and just meeting challenges. So to me, I think I get it, but expand a little bit about like how you're blending that learning fun. It seems to me that the excitement and fun further engages the learner versus the dry and boring, which is knowledge, but it almost disengages the learning process.
Right. So when we're kids, we all learn in school new information, right? It's all new and it's just given to us, and we try to absorb it and build on that through our sort of child learning experiences all the way up through medical school. But once we're adult learners, we have learned a bunch of stuff, but it's much better for adult learners to take a lot of that knowledge and reframe it, think about how to use it, and talk about it, practice it. Those kinds of ways of learning are much better at figuring out how to use new information in a setting. So rather than going in and listening to a lecture and just absorbing a one-way street of information, which can be informative, but might not change what we actually do. Adult learners are much better at kind of digging in, experiencing part of what they're learning together, and crafting that experience for themselves. So for us, for example, for this conference, kind of to set the stage, this is a very positive conference. We're going to learn a lot of things that are going to help us be better physicians, be more joyful, find the things that motivated us to practice medicine in the first place. But part of setting the stage for that is that there are a lot of people who are experiencing dissatisfaction with medicine. Burnout is a buzzword, but it's very real. For some people find a lot of joy in medicine, but other people are feeling stressed or depleted or frankly burned out. And so because there are shortages of physicians, and even if there aren't shortages within our own fields, there are shortages of time. We all feel time pressed. Those kinds of things are the sorts of things that we're going to try to learn how to mitigate, learn how to reframe and deal with. And as we do this in an experiential way, we're going to learn stuff like you're going to talk about, we'll talk a little bit later about how physicians can benefit from coaching, for example. We're going to talk about energy balance and optimizing performance. We're going to talk about sort of modern stuff like mindfulness, which is a very broad term, but we're also going to practice some meditation, which might be really foreign to some people. But once we start doing that, we're going to apply some of the stuff that we're learning and figure out how to make that physician experience better by doing some of it in the conference. And I will say, it's tempting to say, fix your burnout, depletion, or dissatisfaction with meditation. We're not saying that, but we're saying that there are a lot of things to learn and do and think about, and we're going to be experiencing those in this conference and kind of putting it all together.
Right, and I think one of the roles I'll play is exactly that transition of describing a little bit of the funk and frustration of my past experiences and the uplift or growing and enjoyment of things over time because of utilizing some of these strategies and tools. So I think there's plenty of things that I was challenged with participating in, such as mindfulness or meditation, but I can describe my evolution and give it a little bit of a time frame that people can go, oh, okay, I don't have to figure this out in a day, or I don't have to figure this out in a month or a week. This can be a more gradual process, but still showing hope and showing that progression. And I think hopefully I do a really good job doing that. I think the other thing I'm really curious about, because I am so excited about it, is the fun things that you're integrating into the tools. So tell us a little bit more about the super fun things.
So as I was conceiving of the conference last year, I thought if we're going to teach people to be focused and mindful and compassionate and so on, and learn all these skills, why not practice them at the conference right there? So we built these experiences of practicing focus through learning how we interact with our taste and smell senses through food and wine. So we're going to rent a yacht, go out on Lake Michigan, and experience some mindful eating, some focused attention to how we eat and drink, but also the science of how we process the experience of food and beverage. We have this really cool science geeky sommelier I've heard present a couple of times, who's super smart, loves the science, loves the human behavior part, and puts together this idea of how we experience taste and olfaction through food, and particularly wine, which he's really an expert in, and sort of have a place to practice that focus and understand how it affects our physiology. And something that I've learned over the course of the year or more that I've been studying this, almost a couple of years now, is that these things aren't just touchy-feely meditation, which I didn't put a lot of stock into before. These are physiological ways to change how our bodies and brains respond to the stimuli around us. So if we can learn to apply some tools to change the stress hormones to really better biology of creating a better experience for us, we can lower cortisol, raise dopamine through our behavior and how we interact with our environment. So those taste and smell experiences are going to be really cool ways to practice that. The other thing we're going to do is rent a music studio and go in and have a listening experience in a recording studio and experience the way we process sound. And Nina Kraus, Dr. Nina Kraus, is a Northwestern neuroscience professor who studies music and the brain. She's an amazing presenter and scientist who knits together this idea of the way we process listening to music, to auditory stimuli, and how it affects us in so many ways. So we'll learn the biology of that, but in a music studio, listening to music in this sort of immersive, interactive experience. So those are some of the ways that we're going to practice and experience the fun parts of what we're learning. Right.
So great location, great venue, great speakers, fun experiential learning, fantastic. It's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
And the hotel, you said great location. The hotel is the Hotel EMC2, which is a great, smaller little boutique hotel right off of Michigan Avenue downtown Chicago. And so it's really in walking distance to a lot of great stuff. But the hotel itself is pretty new, so it's modern, and it has the tagline is the intersection of art and science. And so all their decor is built around the beautiful application of scientific stuff. So you just have to see it to get it. And if you forget your toothbrush or robot, we'll bring it to your door.
That's awesome.
I told him, I said, I think everybody's going to forget their toothbrush.
Very spectacular. So let me ask a question about the educational content and kind of the goals that learners might come to the conference and hoping to take home with them.
The content really drives the whole principle of learning what's going to make the experience of being a physician better. We're going to learn some of the neuroscience of the things that we've talked about, and energy balance, those kinds of things, how to optimize your performance in the workplace. We're also going to talk very specifically about some operational things that make physicians either happier or less happier in practice. We're going to learn financial fitness for physicians. There are a lot of physicians who might be making a good wage but struggle to figure out how to balance that in the current time or in the future. So we're going to talk nuts and bolts about financial planning. And we're going to talk about innovation. So one of the aspects is learning about technology that's being developed to change the way we practice. We've all seen, those of us who've been in practice for more than a very short time, have seen tremendous technological changes. We're going to talk about what's on the forefront of changing the way we practice medicine through innovation. So individual things like learning mental focus and how that benefits us biologically, how we can use that to our physiological advantage. Some nuts and bolts things about financial fitness and optimizing our performance, learning about innovation and technology and how that's going to change us. And the other thing, which is partly my expertise, is really physician communication. So as we develop a course at OSF Healthcare in physician communication, we're going to be working through some of the things in that material to really teach some good tools to people who might already have a lot of experience as communicating physicians, but teach them additional strategies to make communication with patients better, more effective, which is good for patient outcomes and good for physician experience. So there are several aspects that people will walk away from this conference being able to apply and make their lives in work and away from work better.
And what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is a great opportunity for physicians in any portion of the spectrum of whether they have great financial wellness, struggling, great communication, struggling, or all the in between. And in all these areas, I think the audience is going to have this great experience where they're functioning as the adult learner, that you and I are not telling them what to do. We're offering them what are the opportunities to take your current level and bring it up. And so their engagement is critical to the success, which is awesome. That's how we should be learning.
Very much so. And the breadth of experience and situations in the room, this is not a big conference. We're going to have a very conversational number of people there. And so we have this faculty, including you, who have certain expertise and experience they're bringing to the front of the room, and the room will be filled with people with a variety of experiences and expertise and levels of wherever they are in those different areas. So the conversation will include kind of novices and experts and people who are at various levels, and we can all learn from each other. That learning as adults works best when we all kind of share what we know together. So, and you don't have to share anything. If you attend the conference, you don't want to share anything of your own thoughts, you don't have to, but it will be a nice balance of people who come at it from different levels of experience. So we're going to have some really young people in medicine who are new to the field, some very seasoned people, and everybody in between. And the part of this, as we talk about what it's like to be a physician in the current age, a lot has changed about medical practice, including that many people are either employed by a hospital system or a university or a healthcare system or medical group, or they might have a strong affiliation or be on staff somewhere where they have to relate to an administration. So we're bringing in senior physician administration, people with lots of experience either employing or relating to physicians, to talk about that relationship of the physician to the healthcare system. And there are going to be people at all different levels in the audience there too. So having that conversation is going to be important, because one of the stressors that I've learned is that physicians, particularly who are either employed or feel like they're part of a big healthcare system or university, have a hard time talking to their administration, telling them what they need and how they can best function for themselves in the workplace. And having that conversation, I think, is going to be very revealing and helpful, and it's going to be kind of a workshop to figure out how to make things better on both sides.
Yeah, and I think you're highlighting that the conference is able to kind of cover the spectrum of what we've learned, what we're still learning, and where things are headed, particularly if we stay more engaged. So if all these people that really want to continue practicing understand these concepts, are engaged in the conversation, we have way more input as to where things will go in the future.
And that's, yes, and I feel the same way about the presenting faculty who are going to be speaking, including yourself, because this isn't a panel of people who think they know everything and are going to tell everybody how great it is to be in medicine. It's going to be a panel of people who have all kinds of experiences to share, including yourself. You've had some stressors and dissatisfaction in medicine and have found a path that makes it more rewarding. But I'm really interested in the conversation that you and I are going to have as I learn about how you've evolved as a physician coach while you're still a very busy orthopedic trauma surgeon, but as a physician coach, and what coaching brings to the physician experience. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think so. In particular, the thing that how things will start with me introducing and at the conference sharing a little bit more of my personal story and helping people appreciate that while I was very successful from an external viewpoint, I didn't necessarily feel the sense of success or growth in the future years. And I thought that just wasn't very exciting to be in a position of stagnation, and this is how it's going to be for the next many years, or possibly declining as far as my sense of the industry. So it's a little bit that story and how I handled that, tried to bring joy into my practice. And it's very much learning a lot about the coaching philosophies, and I'll give more elaboration on my definitions of those things, because sometimes coaching brings up different thoughts and ideas to people. But as I was trained in the coaching of really helping others be their best selves, and whether that be in surgical performance, in mental performance, in communication with patients, whatever it may be, it really is very much a parallel to adult learning theory. And I've been in education for so many years where the model was really, I know what you should be doing and here it is. And
isn't that how we all learned?
And so it may be a little challenging to some in the audience who aren't used to that, but I'm very much in, I know currently what's best for me. I'm very confident in a lot of the things that I'm doing. And some of the things that are best for me now are not necessarily great things. They're just best for me right now. But in the coaching model, it's always trying to help up the game. And like you've pointed out in the adult learning theory, I incorporate ideas and strategies from others to just grow in multiple different areas. And so I'm going to make an effort in my second presentation to explain some of these philosophies, do a little bit of demonstration to anyone in the audience that wants to participate. They can participate actively or they can participate in their head. That's up to them. But it'd be an opportunity where the types of information is being processed more by the individual, and yet maybe demonstrating how a group of people together can advocate or be sort of an accountability partner to each other, so that we realize that we aren't in this alone. Because we're good at being loners, but I get a lot of my energy from the people around me and helping me continue to practice my best. So that's a lot of what I'm hoping to do. And again, it just really integrates a lot of coaching philosophies.
So will you, after your parts of this, do you think people can walk away feeling like they've started down a path of kind of an early piece of the coaching pathway to solve some of their own things that they'd like to fit together better? It's not going to be a full coaching session of every individual, but will they start that path of kind of thinking through how to make things better from the coaching experience?
Yes, and the reason I know that is because I know the co-faculty and I know the course chairman, so I'm very confident that we're going to be able to do that. Because it's a collaborative thing, because I connect certain people and others will connect to others, but that combination really has the opportunity. It's really my goal that they go away with at least a couple true takeaways that are not just inspiring, that actually are going to cause action.
So great.
So that's the other. And then I hope that they go away knowing that there's this model that they just can always go back to potentially do it all themselves, self-coaching, but that's not where they have to stay. I mean, there's a lot of things that I got better from just by self-coaching until I was in a space where I was actually receptive to other people to help me out. So it's both tangible specifics that they want to work on and will do, and then it's a framework or a model to actually continue to do that.
I think there's no one quite like a group of physicians, including us, who think we can solve our own problems and fix all of our own pathway directions. And learning self-coaching techniques is going to be very helpful to start, but I think once you recognize the value of somebody helping you reflect, it's going to be very helpful to see that too. And one of the things that I'd like, as we're talking now, it's sort of evolving to me. I've been thinking this conference, because it's going to be very collaborative of audience and faculty, including some leaders of a few healthcare systems, to really think through, coach ourselves as a group through the sticky wickets of what's making this tremendous dissatisfaction for some people in medicine. And I think we're probably going to attract an audience of people who either want to find greater satisfaction or find joy in medicine already and want to talk about it. And I think if we can mix together, use some of the coaching principles, use some of the things that Jay Clore, the psychology PhD, who's a pro at behavior, can help us frame about what makes things more effective. If we can put all this stuff together and really have a conversation to see if there's a trend we can start to develop for making the ambiance of physician practice better, that would be very satisfying to me. I think this would be, in a way, a workshop to set the stage for improvement, for a way we can talk about improving the way healthcare is experienced by physicians in the US.
Absolutely. I think you've organized a conference in such a great fashion to bring in people with the right energy, that they're looking for what you're describing, that satisfaction and joy, and then us giving them the energy and the resources to continue it once they leave. They're going to leave. I'll be shocked if all aren't leaving on a high energy. And our goal is to plant that seed out to keep raising energy and collaboration and so on.
I've been practicing medicine for 21 years, and I've given hundreds of talks as an educator, physician, from community to faculty. And one of my greatest career satisfactions was leaving the conference last year on the note of getting feedback from the group while we're sitting in the room at the end of the couple of days, and saying what went well, what didn't go well. And to a person, everyone said this was fantastic. People said it was wonderful, a great experience. It was better than they expected. Do it again next year. Make it a little longer. Make it all about the physician experience. It's the best thing we've done. So I was super excited about the feedback that we all kind of felt this energy of, wow, this is the conversation we should be having. Let's do it again and do it even better. And that's what we're doing this year.
Fantastic. I look forward to it both as a participant and as a guest faculty.
I feel the same way about myself as a participant and the activity director. I'm really glad that you're involved, Jeff. I think you're going to bring a lot to the table with your clinical experience, your personal experience as a physician in practice for about the same time as me, and your physician coaching experience as well. So I'm looking forward to it very much.